pond is all plumbed up. So if you want to see how or why we did all this mess here, then keep watching. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. We're done with the fiberglass. We are finally getting ready to get the pond going, so we're going to start the plumbing. So we got all our pipe here, and let me explain to you what we got going on. But first, I wanted to say, if you're not already, you need to make sure to go subscribe to the channel, because we got some really cool stuff coming up. Ignore that, but we got some really cool stuff coming up, guys. We got some big surprises. We got the animals at home are getting a huge upgrade, or home in general is getting a huge upgrade, I should say. And then also I'm going to be getting my absolute dream fish soon for the pond. So I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but it is like my absolute dream fish. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see all this happen as it unfolds, and of course see us finish this awesome greenhouse and pond. But anyways, let's get going. So for the pond, we decided to do, we were going to do bottom drains originally, which is the best form of filtration really, but we want substrate, want it to look natural. So we decided to do an Undergravel suction grid. So that is this pipe right here. So basically, let me see. So there will be, this will be running down like this. And then there will be little cross sections everywhere. Like this. They'll be spaced out a foot. So every foot there will be a piece coming this way, and then this piece will run the whole length of the pond. And then on the bottom of it, it will have, I'll explain it all better, but it'll basically have a bunch of holes drilled, and then the pump will be hooked up on the outside of this. So this will suck water through, and then this will be covered with 2 inches of gravel, 2 inches over the top of it. So basically everything will settle down, get caught up in the gravel, get broken down by the bed of bacteria that live in there, and it's also housing for all the good bacteria. It's a place for them to live and break down all the waste, and then it gets broken down, sucked into this pipe in a grid all over the bottom of the pond, and then pulled through the filtration system and pumped back in. Okay, so this area is for a skimmer, but I'll show that later. So we are going to start working on chopping this all up and getting this set up. So like I said, one piece down the middle and then a piece going this way every foot. We're gonna get it all mocked up, and then we'll start gluing it. We'll probably glue this joint last, just make sure the piece is all set up. It's gonna be a lot of drilling holes, but we are ready to go. As you can see, we got the first piece all glued up, and this piece is a little weird looking, but let me explain why. So right here where we came out of the wall was a little bit off the ground, and the concrete also was not perfectly flat, so this is kind of a low spot. So we have this big gap right here, and I want the suction where the holes are going to be pretty close to the bottom. That way there's not a bunch of stuff building up under there that's just going to rot and poison the pond. And I got carried away basically, and I fiberglassed out too far onto this, so I couldn't glue the fitting back as far as I wanted. So I wanted these pieces a little closer to the wall. So what we ended up doing is getting some 45s, and we just did like a little rolling offset here to get it closer to the wall and get it down flat where we want it, so it's just barely off the bottom. So this piece is like that, but the rest of them will be pretty straightforward, just come out and then run straight across both ways. So we got this all glued together. We're gonna get the rest of it going. You can see this is the piece we have measured out for here. So this piece will go here, and then another cross here, and then more coming off the side. And then this is where the holes are marked. So I'm drilling 3/8 inch holes in like a 6-4-8 pattern, roughly. I'm kind of guessing 6, 4, and 8. And then that is where the water will suck through. So these holes will be on the bottom, and it'll pull the water through. That way everything settles through the gravel and then gets sucked up through the filtration. So we're just using this drill bit here, drilling our holes, getting our measurements, gluing it all together. So pretty neat. Believe it or not, but I lie sometimes. So I lied to you guys. I'm really sorry. I know you're probably going to hate me, but hopefully you can forgive me. So we're not going to use this piece for the first piece. We're going to use this piece that I just made. This is flex PVC, and I'm using it to plumb out a bunch of the other stuff, so I already had some. You can glue it into fittings just like normal PVC, but the reason I'm using this is it's curved for the same reason. We got this big old gap. I'm trying to get it sitting flat or close to the ground as quickly as I can. So we're going to use this for this first little piece, and then the rest of it will be normal PVC. So I promise that was my last lie. I'm done. Undergravel suction grid is done, so this is all ready to go. Looks good, but all we did, well, everything's glued together except for this last joint right here. That way we can take this off if for some crazy reason something doesn't work out with the fiberglass, because we're still letting this cure. God, it is bright, I can't see. We're still letting this cure for one more week before we fill it up with water. So if we needed to for some reason redo something, hopefully not, but we could take this whole thing out. But if everything's good with it, once we fill it up, we'll drain it again and then just glue that last joint. We'll be good. So this is all done. We got to start planning out the skimmer and the rest of the filtration now. So the skimmer is pretty simple, just something like this. I'll probably figure out exactly where I want to put it and figure out the exact height. This is just mocked up, but this is called a no niche skimmer. It's just a floating skimmer, so this kind of floats to meet the water level, and then it's got this basket inside that just catches leaves and stuff. super simple idea, but they look really cool. Like once the water is filled up, it pretty much just looks like water falling into here. And then we will now start figuring out all of this. So we got to figure out, this stuff's so dusty, it's been sitting in here forever. We got to figure out where we want this to sit, where we want the pump to sit, the UV sterilizer, everything. We'll get everything laid out how we want it, and then we'll start plumbing that together, and then it'll be ready to put the window in and get it wet, so easy. All right, so we got all the filtration plumbed up for the most part. We just got to start working on the return. So let me, I don't know, I'm probably right in the way, but let me explain this mess to you. So this is the Undergravel suction grid. It comes in through here. I don't know what you're thinking, Zach. Why do you got two valves right next to each other? Well, it's because I'm paranoid. So we got these nice union ball valves, and then just in case they fail, I got these little knife valves so I could pretty much replace these if I need to without draining the whole pond. Probably wasn't necessary, but I felt like it was a good idea. And then this is the skimmer, right? So that's where the water from the top pours in. That's how we get leaves and stuff off the top and keep the top of the water looking clean. So these both come in and then they come to here. This is a three-way valve. So basically it controls the amount of water that comes from this and the amount that comes from this. So water from the skimmer, water from the Undergravel. Right here it would be equal parts. If I turned it like this, that would be blocking this halfway. So it would be basically 2/3 of the water coming from here and 1/3 coming from here. So that's probably how I'll run it, but for now I'm just putting it like that so I don't kick it and break it. Then right here we got a check valve. So with these pumps, they recommend having a check valve after. That way if the power goes out or if you shut it off, it doesn't backwash dirty filter water or anything. Or yeah, before the pump, sorry, but it doesn't backwash dirty filter water into the pond. So then it runs to the pump, right? And then pumps it. I don't know how well you can see all this in the video, so sorry if it just looks like a mess. It kind of is a mess. I could have made this a lot prettier, but I'm happy with it. So then it comes from the pump, comes into the filter unit, and then this is your, what is it? I forgot what this is called. Multi-port valve or whatever. We'll explain this later on, but comes into the filter and then comes out of the filter right here. Same thing, I put valves on every side of every piece of equipment. That way if I have to isolate anything to replace it, I can. So if I needed to, I could turn these valves and completely isolate this filter. The water comes out of the filter, back around here, and into the UV filter. So this is the UV sterilizer. It is super oversized for this size of pond, but I want my water clear, and I wanted something that can handle the amount of flow I'm putting in this pond, because I'm doing a lot more flow than most people do for like normal koi ponds. But anyways, water comes into here and then comes out here. Another ball valve once again to be able to isolate things. And then this is not glued yet. This is just all mocked up. This one we're going to start working on now. So this is going to be the return. So it's going to go along the pond, and then we're going to have random return jets throughout it. So as soon as we start getting this piece together, I will show you exactly what we got. But this is what we ended up with. Let me get out of the way. Alright, this is the return system we ended up with. So it looks kind of weird right now, but just 1.5-inch PVC coming out. It tees off everywhere where I'm gonna have a return nozzle. The nozzles look like this. They're called Mazii style jets. I bought them from Sacramento Koi. But this just glues in the end of the 1.5-inch PVC, and then you can point these wherever you want. So easy enough. But the reason these are super long and we don't have any of that hooked up, and this isn't painted yet, we're gonna fill the pond up once we get the window in, and then see where the water level actually is. And I want those to be 10 or 12 inches below water level. So we'll see where the water level is, mark everything, and then we got to drain it and clean it all out anyways to make sure the fiberglass didn't leach anything. So when we do that, we'll dry all this off, cut these exactly where we want, install the jets, and then we will take this all off, which is just a few little concrete anchors, not a big deal. We'll take all this off and we'll paint it to match. So we kind of just want to fill it up, make sure we don't have leaks and any issues first before we do that. But yeah, that is up next. So if you guys are going to want to see that, you're going to have to wait for the next video. There's nothing I can do about it, people. But stay tuned for the next video. We will get the pond window installed. We'll get this filled up with water, and we might go for a swim. Who knows?